This is the last video of chapter 7 with the muscle groups and anatomy of the muscles. And I'm on the same page I was before. So we talked about the fact if I cross-sectioned my leg, this is anterior and this is posterior. In the front, I would have the quadriceps. In the back, I would have the hamstrings. Those are extensors. Quadriceps are flexors. Then we have adductors and abductors. So on this, from the posterior, we're going to see the abductors and the extensors or the hamstrings a little more clearly. All right, so our first muscle, one of the largest muscles in the body in dark green, is the gluteus maximus. And as we mentioned, this is an abductor, takes the leg away from the center line. There's a gluteus minimus. It lies underneath and it's much smaller, so we really don't deal with that too much. The gluteus maximus of this size is unique to Homo sapiens. We're the only species that has a gluteus maximus this big, and that's for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're the only species that walks, the only hominid that walks completely upright. And so in order to have the strength to stay upright, we need this large gluteus maximus. And in addition, it changes our center of gravity and pulls it a little back towards the center of the abdomen to make that upright walking a possibility. Pink is review. This was that IT band. And I'm not going to write out iliotibial. Well, I'll write it over here. Wow, all of a sudden I can't write tibial, iliotibial band. And that was in pink. So we see this a lot larger here, and people can have trouble with that IT band. It can tighten up and can create a lot of issues. When you have that, if you see a doctor or a chiropractor, they'll give you a roller to roll on that to try to loosen that very, very long tendon. We have it relabeled. Here in red, we have the gracilis, and that's an adductor, but notice that's the only adductor we see on this side. So the remaining three that we have are the hamstrings. And these are all extensors. They extend the leg. And so that would be the magenta, the blue, and the brown. The magenta is, I told you guys when we did biceps brachii, we have another biceps. So this is called the biceps femoris. So again, it's named bicep because it has two heads. It's got two origins. And then these two have similar names. This is the semimembranosus, and this is the semitendinosus. I like to remember that this is medial. Sorry, I just wrote it on the wrong muscle. Cross that off. M for medial. So the one that is the most medial is going to be the semimembranosus. So this is the semimembranosus. And the M stands for medial. And that's a little bit of a mnemonic to help you memorize which one is the membranosus and which one is the tendinosus. So in blue, we have the and I'm going to run out of room, so I'm going to hyphenate. Tendinosus, Tendinosus, semitendinosus. If you're going to go into exercise therapy or there's a T here, or physical therapy, here's a good example how a small motion can change which muscle group you're working. So if you do a leg lift to the rear and you turn the toe out, I'm sorry, which way? Yeah, turn the toe out, you turn it lateral, you're going to isolate the femoris. If you turn the toe medial, you're going to isolate the membranosus. So if you have an athlete that injured this muscle, giving them specific instructions on how to complete an exercise, it really matters because you're looking at working this muscle versus working this muscle. And again, extensors. Another thing, another point of interest, a lot of times for ACL repair, they will harvest from either the patellar tendon, or if they don't want to take patellar tendon, they'll take from these hamstring tendons back here on the medial side of the leg. All right, I'm just going to slide in my lower leg sheet, and we're just going to kind of pick that up here. So we're only going to do 2 muscles and the 1 tendon here to the back, and the colors didn't turn out very dark for me. But here I have purple, and this is purple. So the purple muscle is called the gastrocnemius. And that is what you think of when you think of your calf muscle. And you've seen some people that have really, really well-developed calf muscles. And then they have this, it doesn't look like there's much going on in the lower leg, but what we have here in pink is the calcaneal tendon. And you guys call it commonly, yep, your Achilles tendon. This is what anchors that gastrocnemius. And by the way, we've got 2 different heads here, but this is all part of the same muscle. So even though it looks like 2 different muscles, it's the same muscle. Comes down and it anchors the tendon to the calcaneal bone, which is where it gets its name. So here's the thing: if you tear this, and I heard a story of someone who was in a weight room and someone they could see somebody who tore their calcaneal tendon, and they could watch the tendon kind of snake up the back of the leg underneath the skin. Then there's no insertion for the gastrocnemius, and so you're really crippled if that happens. Just as a matter of point, we're going to do this one to the front. So I know this is supposed to be all posterior muscles, but this is your tibialis anterior. And this is an interesting one for students because it's the source of shin splints. If you remember when we did bones, there's a membrane that circles all the bones called the periosteum. And there's a membrane that attaches the tibialis anterior to that periosteum. So if you're running, this muscle gets used a lot. By the way, this is the tibia. And up here we have the patella. And if you're constantly using this muscle, it pulls on that periosteum, and it can cause bleeding next to the bone. It can cause an aggravation of the nerves, and it gives rise to shin splints. So something you might want to know if you suffer from shin splints. All right, and that is our last muscle. So I told you guys 30 to 40. I think we were somewhere in that ballpark. So we've got 3 on the lower leg, or 2 in a tendon, the calcaneal tendon, gastrocnemius, tibialis anterior. And then for the posterior, we had our hamstrings, gluteus maximus. And then we went over the IT band again. All right, we're going to call that a chapter. Thanks for watching.